in the street and then not around at all dealing with my own burnout. And so that's one of the reasons why restful leadership is so important to me because of my own journey that you'll hear a little more around in a minute. Hey, San Diego, what's up? Before we get into the content, we'll go to the next slide because we always start by stopping. This is one of the first principles of restful leadership. Whenever we gather, whenever we are in space together, and really whenever I share space with anyone, I try to start by stopping. And I learned this from my own rest coach, Octavia Rahim. Kiki, if you want to put at Octavia Rahim in the chat, she's on Instagram. If you all like Instagram, she is an amazing nap rest coach that you can learn from, that I've learned deeply from. And she always starts by stopping. So I invite you, wherever you are, just to take a moment to arrive. I think we have some music in the background.
Yes.
So I will ask you to let your body settle into this space, just as it is. If you want to turn your camera off while we do a brief centering and grounding exercise, please do. If not, that's okay too. I'm asking you, just let your body settle into this space, just as it is. Whether you are sitting or standing or laying down, there's no right way to be here. Let the weight of your body be held. Let yourself be supported without needing to hold everything. Bring your attention to your breath. There is no need to change it. Just notice it. Inhaling and exhaling. Feel the breath move in your body, the rise, the fall, the space in between. With each exhale, offer yourself a little bit of release. Maybe a softening in your shoulders, your jaw. Let yourself exhale the urgency of the day and just arrive slowly. Now ask yourself gently, what do I need to be present here? What do I need to be present here? What can I lay down just for now? Breathe with those questions. There's nothing to fix in this moment, only the invitation to be present, whole, human, together. When you're ready, bring some small movement to your body. Wiggle your fingers. Stretch your neck. Take one final deeper breath. I invite you to return to this space. Open your eyes if they have been closed. You may not be fully ready, but you're here. Nonetheless, you showed up to prioritize yourself and to learn a little bit more about rest. Welcome back. Danielle, you can go to the next slide. How was that for you? How did that feel to arrive slowly into a space where we're supposed to be learning? Does anyone want to unmute and share? How did that feel in your body? How did that feel in your mind? How did that feel in your spirit?
I'll share. I actually wasn't here for it because I came in late, but I can
Mm.
imagine that it felt amazing. It's one of the reasons why I give my students after school that mental break. They get 15 to 20 minutes of a mental break, eat their snack, they get to kind of chill and do whatever it is they want to do before we dive into any type of homework time or activities. So I can imagine it felt amazing. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. And I invite you, Shakisha, if you want to take a couple of minutes while we're talking to center and ground yourself in this space. You're absolutely describing like what I feel like is my world, right? Like feel like I'm rushing to things and trying to make it on time. And this is a culturally safe space, so we know sometimes we don't have the same concept of time. And so it's a social construct. You get to show up however you can, at least in this space. And so thank you for naming what I feel like is like my literal life. And you named, oh my gosh, Takesha, you named this concept of, right, like as leaders, often we help create space for others, our students, our staff, those that we serve, but I know I'll use I messages. I often forgot to do that for myself. And so giving you permission, you don't need it. And yet sometimes we do to also give yourself that 15 minutes, right? Like that 10 minutes. Um, C. Robinson says, mindfulness helped me slow down and notice how I was feeling. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we're feeling in a moment. Thank you. Anyone else want to share before we talk about some cultural agreements? One thing I didn't share about me is that I'm a retired professor. And so I took an early retirement in 2022 after experiencing extreme burnout. So I talked a little bit about Sac City Unified and the work that I did there. And I've spent my whole career caring for others. And you may have too, right? We're called often to this work because of our servant leadership and our desire to make a change in our community and to serve young people and children and community members. And many of us come into this work sort of sacrificial servants where we come last, right? And we want to serve others first. And so I spent my whole career doing that and went to Sacramento State as a social work professor, teaching race, class, and gender courses and social work practice and youth development, social justice, and really excited to kind of pour into the next generation of leaders. Some of me, maybe some of you. And what I realized was I was still pouring from an empty cup. I wasn't pouring from my overflow. And so in 2021, I took an early retirement. And because it's the only way I could leave Sac State with lifetime medical benefits. And I was like, girl, if you carry on this road of exhaustion, of giving of yourself, you're gonna need them medical benefits. And so I took an early retirement. My best friend had died the year before, and I was carrying, as many of you likely were, the weight of the pandemic, and we were still serving, right? And so I was led to this work because I needed it myself. I think it's Toni Morrison that says if there's a book that you want to read that doesn't exist yet, write it. And so for me, it was if there's work that doesn't exist yet and you need it, write it. But to write it and to create it, I had to learn it. And so today you'll get a glimpse into my learning. You'll get a glimpse into not just my learning, but the learning that many, many of my colleagues and friends and clients have also had to experience, right? And have also shared with me. So, our cultural agreements are, and I'm going to offer them. You may start any of your group practices with group norms, and that's really what this is a group norm, is a way of being in a classroom that allows us to have some common language. And so I'll offer these to the group. And anything I share, feel free to use in your practice. And let me know if you feel like we're missing anything. So, our first cultural agreement is we start by stopping. I learned this from Octavia Rahim. The second one is we take space and make space. You may have shared one mic, which is really easy on Zoom, right? Because literally unmuting and muting ourselves. But I invite you, if you're quieter, step into this space. Even if it's in the chat or if it's unmuted, we want to hear from you. I'm an introvert, and so oftentimes I would not share, and I had to learn how deeply important my wisdom was in a space. So I invite you, if you're quieter, to take space. And if you're chatty, make space for others. I also invite you to listen with curiosity and grace. Other people may have different experiences from us, right? And that's where we learn, is by listening to the diverse words from others. So I invite you to listen with curiosity and grace. I think respect lives up in here. I think making room for diverse voices lives up in here. I also invite you, and this is one of the pillars of restful leadership, to lean into the yes and. Oftentimes in learning spaces, we have a truth that we want to share, right? Whether it's with our students, whether it's with our colleagues, whether it's with our staff. And most often, where the beautiful things are created is in the yes and, is in the nuance. So I invite you to think always about the yes and in this space. I also invite you, and you'll learn more about my journey, the unlearn to relearn. What do we have to disrupt? What do we have to dismantle? And do we have to unlearn among ourselves, within our teams, and then also systemically? And then finally, I ask you to take the lessons and leave the details. This is Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But it's okay to share the lessons that you're learning here. Please share widely. We'll share our contact information once we leave here. And so we want everybody to get this learning. I felt like I was a lone voice in this work, right? Talking about rest in 2020 and 2019 and 2018. And the world is kind of caught up and rest has become a little trending, but the reality of practice is often not adopted within the workplaces that we reside within. So I invite you to take the lessons, share them with your colleagues, and share them with your supervisors, and share them with your direct reports. Any questions about anything that especially resonates with you in our cultural or group agreements, or anything we should add? Let me know in the chat what's something that especially resonates. Or if I'm missing something, I am imperfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I'm learning that I am so imperfect. So if I miss something, let me know. Or, of course, unmute if that's easier. We want this experience to be restful for you too. So, what resonated especially for you?
So we
Justin. Oh, sorry, Kiki. I was gonna respond to Justin and then I'm gonna let you go. So if this ain't real life, Justin says we stop by stopping stands out. Admittedly, my work chats are going off right now, so it's hard to stop, but I'm trying. Yeah. And we're pulled right in like all of those directions. And so even if it's just a 30-second stretch break, dance party, meditation, I'm glad that resonates and I'm sending you restfulness that hopefully you will be especially inspired after today to adopt some of those practices for yourself. Do not disturb them people. You're in a lesson, you're in a learning space. You got to get this learning, right? So that you can show up and be most present for others. And so that you can show up for yourself. Jeff, hey, friend. Jeff says the canteen started by stopping this morning. Shout out to Troy. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're modeling that for all of the people that are here today. That's what's up. Thank you. And yes, sometimes stopping is the first real move before fixing, before deciding, before explaining, before working, before responding, before feeling like we have to be present for someone else. You can pause and let yourself catch up. Facts. Facts. Okay, let's jump in. If there's no additions, we're going to jump in. Danielle, can we go to the next slide? So, what is restful leadership? I've been throwing this word around, and I've shared that restful leadership was born out of my own burnout, was born in a time. 2020 was when we held our first rest space. 2021 was when we named this work Restful Leadership. And if I think back to the summer of 2020 and the great racial awakening that the country engaged in, and the uprisings that were occurring, and the social movements that were happening during that time, and the deep community and national and international trauma we were experiencing feels very familiar to this moment, right? It feels very familiar to hold spaces for families and students that are struggling and experiencing trauma. And so, restful leadership is an anti racist, trauma informed way of being well at work. We often talk about rest practices at home, and we talk about adopting self care practices in our weekends, right? But restful leadership really invites us to imagine, what does this look like in our workplace? Restful leadership follows a multi tiered, multi leveled approach that focuses on individual practices, team development, and program level transformation. And it empowers us to nurture both our personal well being and our organizational health so that we can be sustainable in this work for the long term. Expanded learning, especially as direct staff, we know we experience the turnover there, right? Because it's a taxing job and it's hard for folks to be committed for this work for the long term. And so we invite you today to examine, what does restful leadership not just look like for me personally, but also what does it look like for our teams? What does it look like for our organizations? And quite frankly, what does it look like for the systems within which we work for? What does it look like in funding spaces? What does it look like for grant funders that ask us to do this work? How do we encourage and and activate around ensuring that our work, that our even our funding requirements are aligned with this concept of our own personal and organizational well-being as well? I mentioned briefly that my work in Sac City Unified started in 2010, and through that season, we were able to transform, really, along with folks like Jeff and Troy, expanded learning for the entire state. And we know that Where goes Sacramento, there goes the state, and where goes the state, there goes the nation, and where goes the nation, there goes the world, and so many things. And so when we look back to that season, we were able to really transform the work that you're doing now was born out of social justice in 2012 and 2013 and 2014 and statewide activism. And what we forgot though during that moment was restfulness. And so we're inviting you even in this space to think about what does activism look like in expanded learning spaces when it's rooted in rest. And you already know, I don't have to tell you why rest is important because you know it, you live it. And in today's fast-paced, high-stress environments, leaders are stretched thin. You all are stretched thin. Justin was like, I'm trying to handle these work chats and be present in this workshop. That's real life. And when we're stretched thin, we're often, it can lead to burnout and diminished productivity, right? Overwork leads to diminished productivity, not more productivity. And so by prioritizing restful leadership, organizations can retain high performing leaders. We become more innovative, more resilient, and more equipped to guide our teams through challenging times, of which we're experiencing right at this moment. And so supervisors or organizations who invest in their leaders' well-being and professional development will benefit from improved team dynamics, enhanced decision making, and a more engaged workforce. Anything resonating with you, especially drop gems in the chat. This is our little personal Twitter. Actually, not
Mhm.
X, but like Twitter, as like Twitter used to be when Twitter was really Twitter. Or
Mhm.
threads or wherever you like comments or engage in virtual conversation. Let me know in the chat if things are especially resonating. If I say a quote that you're like, yes, or someone else says something in the chat that you're like, that's fire. Please let's take space in that way. If anything I say especially resonates with you. And I'll invite you, not just resonates like I agree, but resonates like, ooh, I hadn't thought of that, or ooh, I'm not there yet. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, Kiki, go, jump in.
So C. Robinson said for them, it looks like it's choosing not to rush the next choice or mistake. It's making space so the next step is actually centered and impactful.
Facts. I will tell you, when I'm rushing, I'm already imperfect, but when I'm rushing, mistakes on 10x, right? Because I'm not moving with a restful flow and I'm attending to all of these demands of me. And it does diminish my productivity. I didn't realize that. And I don't always do this. And I know that it may not be realistic for many of us, but them times that I work 4 hours a day, whoo, let me tell you, creative, innovative, transformative work comes out of it. When I'm hitting 8, 9, 10 hours, that shit, don't quote me, right? Because we really we forget how much physiologically, and Danielle, if we were co-presenting this, Danielle is fire when it comes to sort of the physiological impacts of trauma. And I would then venture to say overwork and stress and burnout and exhaustion. We're in an exhaustion epidemic now, right? Justin says, I definitely see leaders in my company being spread thin and hoping to hear about how we can apply these sentiments into our everyday workplace. Yeah. And facts that like we're not in it on our own, right? So if that resonates with you, let Justin know. Azaria, Kiki, do you want to let us know what Azaria is chatting about?
Of course. So Azaria said, prioritizing restful leadership definitely does lead to improvement in the work area for students, which always reflect on how much you actually are helping them.
facts, not just us, but those that we serve, those that we work with, the young people and the children that we're supporting. And when we're in times of chaos, um, Danielle, you can go to the next slide. When we're in times of chaos, one of the things that eludes us the most is rest, right? I don't know how many of you have experienced you're exhausted and you go to get in the bed, and what happens? Do you fall asleep? Hell no. Your eyes pop open, all of the things you got to get done start running through your head, all of the things you forgot, because we're even approaching our sleep from a place of exhaustion, right? And that's no different for the students and families that we serve, especially in times like this. I'm going to go quickly through this slide and talk about some of the ways research shows that the following stressors regularly impact the personal and professional lives of social impact leaders in general, and women of color, queer folks, femmes in particular. First one is burnout. And in Restful Leadership, we don't just talk about burnout. We talk about burnout, we talk about being burned through, and we talk about how the world is on fire. Today's social impact leaders face exhaustion from constantly putting out fires while carrying the emotional weight of the world. Kira says, we're seeing a lot of apathy with our youth leaders. And we know that it's going to lead to more burnout. And we're looking for strategies to keep ambition and motivation with a younger generation of leaders. This is so real because I feel like youth leadership right now fits in one of two categories. It feels like youth leaders and community are either exhausted and tired and overwhelmed and apathetic, or they're motivated and marching and engaged in social justice. And somewhere in the middle is a place of healing justice, is a place where we are engaging in social justice and we're also prioritizing our individual and community healing. We can experience stress and overwhelm. Leaders are often expected to be high performing, even in the face of ongoing crises. I know as a Black femme leader that when my team rests, often I don't. Right. And so when I notice that my team members are exhausted, I'll make space for them. And so what happens? This is the hierarchy Jeff is talking about. Leaders of color, those of us in leadership positions that are accustomed to social change, we're going to pick up the slack for everybody, right? Guess what? That's also not sustainable. There's often a disconnect between personal and professional well-being. We don't lean into the yes and, we compartmentalize. And compartmentalizing is a form of survival. If we carried everything with us all of the time, we wouldn't be able to survive the very moments that we're in. And because we're nuanced, we also know that we have to work to integrate our personal and professional selves, especially with lived expertise. When we come from the very communities that we serve, we know that we can't separate our lives often from the lives of the community members that we're working with. We can experience emotional exhaustion. Leading from heart can be draining, and it's compounded trauma. This is Danielle's expertise, right? This is compounded trauma that can lead to compassion fatigue. It can also lead to racial battle fatigue. This is when we're exhausted from code switching and having to show up professionally in spaces that we just want to be ourselves and be authentic. And so we're going to pause sharing here. And I want to hear from you. He sees some things in the chat about what's especially resonating. Does anyone who shared in the chat want to come off mute? Or does anyone who hasn't shared yet want to kind of plus one or cosign or ask a question about where we are currently in this nation and with the kinds of exhaustion and fatigue that we're talking about?
There was a couple
Good
people.
morning.
Hey, go ahead.
Good morning, Space. Thank you for having me here. My name is Sierra Robinson, and I am an expanded learning program specialist here in San Diego, California. And this is resonating with me. Um, After the pandemic, it was this motto to check on your strong friends, because I always believe like even leaders still need leadership. Just because we have the capacity doesn't mean that it's something that we can just give all the time. So just know that I'm sending everyone positive vibes, healing space, and a cup of coffee virtually, because even though we are all leaders in this space, we still have to take care of ourselves. Self-care is important. So that is the main reason why I came to this restful leadership, because I need a rest and I am multitasking, but I'm also present in the moment. And I hope that you guys are also getting something out of this. I appreciate you letting me come to the space. I land my plane and I pass my mic.
Sierra, thank you. I Yeah, I think the pandemic also, while it was extremely traumatic for all of us, offered us a new normal, right? A new way of being, a new way to possibly center ourselves and our families and our communities differently. And we pivoted on a dime and we thought creatively and innovatively about our work. And then the world opened up, especially for many of you, sooner than others, right? Like you were called back to community fairly quickly, and shit went right back to the way it was. All of the lessons we learned sort of went. Doo-doo-doo. And so I think restful leadership really serves to push back on that narrative, right? And to know we can do something different because we've seen it, we've felt it, we've experienced it. Is it Kira or Kyra?
Hi, yeah, it's Kira.
Kira, welcome.
Thank you.
Jump in.
Just want to do a quick shout out to California and Can. I'm originally from California, so shout out to Larry, Visalia, and Fresno when I did all my after school work out there. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah with Salt Lake County Youth Services. Been here for a long time with after school programs, been in the field a long time. And so I really love everything that you're saying. And I also want to go back to Jeff and the resources he shared around the healing centered engagement. Because I think, again, right now with this new generation of after school leaders, right, we're trying to bring them in to this field and coach them and bring them in. But they're dealing with things that those of us who've been around, we did not deal with way back in the day. And so I think I'm really passionate right now about what is the new strategies to, again, like rid of this apathy, prepare them for what's coming down the line, while at the same time, again, taking care of ourselves, like Robinson was saying, and also just not letting time rob us of all the accomplishments that we have done so far. And I think that's a huge point to make out because I think those of us who've been around, it can feel like, again, we're not doing anything and this new generation is struggling and how are we going to maintain this and patch up the boat to stay afloat? But we really have come so far. And I think it's a night and day difference even in that time span.
Facts. Yes. And it's again, it's we hold space for the yes and, right? And so it's that sort of this sense, especially among staff, that I can speak to even in our little tiny organization of sort of exhaustion already. And we just get y'all just getting started in y'all career, right? And for those of us who've had to push through for decades, sometimes we can feel like we got to keep pushing through. And additionally, the questions that you're asking, how can we center youth leadership, center staff leadership? Because many of our staff are near peers, right? and provide frameworks like healing-centered engagement and healing justice to move folks into a more restful way of being and also into social justice driven practice. When you all know back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, we talked a lot about social justice youth development, right? Which is Dr. Sean Jinrai. And I came up through my doctoral program under Jinrai, and even the OGs in the social justice spaces have evolved their programming into healing centered engagement, right? Because they know that there were pieces missing from these frameworks that were offered, that we all learned it from, and that they don't go away. The principles of social justice youth development remain. And what we have to remember is that without a healing centered engagement, Dr. Jinwright offers the karma principles. Jeff, I didn't make it at 9, but I'm imagining that you may have offered some of those tools. And so, how can we also, in that, the piece that was missing for me was rest. So I engaged in healing. I engaged in healing practices. And if we're not careful, some of those things can feel like an extra to do. How do I get more tools? What else do I incorporate in my day? And healing justice or restful leadership isn't always another to do. Sometimes it's a to don't, right? Sometimes it's a conscious realization that doing more doesn't give us rest. Sometimes we have to undo, and sometimes we have to be. And so, even in our healing, we have to make sure that we center restfulness. I don't know if any of y'all were athletes or have had a physical injury. How many of y'all, like, show me hands if you've ever had a physical injury, if you've been an athlete? Kira says yes. I'm seeing Sierra, seeing some nods. Melissa says yes. Kiki has her hand up. I think she's going to jump to the chat. Tanya says yes. What is the first thing? Put it in the chat. Fire me with it. What is the first thing they tell you if you have an injury? What is the first thing that you're supposed to do? Tanya says rest. 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 You have to rest your injury. We have to rest our injury. Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what does that look like? What does resting the injury of the world look like during this moment? Keek, before I go to the next slide, do you want to jump in?
Um, I was raising my hand because you asked who had an injury.
Oh, yeah, you have. You
So yes.
have. Absolutely. Let's go to the next slide and I'll share just a glimpse into the restful leadership journey. And so I've talked a little bit about self-care, squad care, and system change. I've talked about multi-leveled types of fatigue and rest. And so this graphic illustrates sort of this concept of self, squad, and systemic change working together always, all the time, both to oppress and exhaust us, and then to heal us and allow us to engage in rest. And so when systems of oppression work to marginalize groups of people, like the families we serve, the students we serve, and many times our own selves. I'm even looking at the beauty of different folks being in this space, right? Like we experience that oppression individually, we experience it collectively, and we also experience it systemically. And When we talk about restful leadership, we also talk about intersectionally. And so thinking about all of us come into these spaces with different intersecting identities and different experiences with these systems of oppression. And as we engage in more rest, it's important for us to approach this from that multi-tiered, multi-level, multifaceted experience, self, squad, and systemic. And so, if you engage with us on a restful leadership journey, we'll start with sort of naming where we are now. We'll talk some about how did we get here? Some of that is individualized. I shared how I took an early retirement from Sacramento State because I was exhausted. And let me tell you, I took 90 days off, sort of a sabbatical, to document and work on my rest practices so that I could share those with others. I engaged in all of these activities, all of these tools, all of these things, and I was hella excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna lead this workshop on a restful reset, and I'm gonna teach everybody how to rest and all of the things they can do to better incorporate rest. And I went back to work after 90 days. I left February 2nd, 2022. And 90 days later, I went back to work. And child, 6 months later, guess what happened? I was burnt out again because it was me. There was some unlearning and some disrupting that I had to do. It wasn't enough to just incorporate new tools and practices. And so we're going to talk about the tools and practices. And I'm going to name that there's the inner journey, right? There's the collective journey that we do together. And then there's the systemic journey that we name. The next thing we do on the restful leadership journey is making, yes, literally the anniversary of my journey. Literally, how many years is that? 4 years? 4 years ago. Literally 4 years ago this week. Wow, Danielle, thank you. After we've kind of named where we are, we will begin to reimagine and dream. And we're not going to necessarily do tons of reimagining and dreaming in this space because that takes some time. But I invite you to tap in with us in Restful Leadership. I hold a yoga nidra session once a month that is sleep yoga. That is a space where we begin to reimagine and dream. So if you're struggling with insomnia or even overwhelm, we'll make sure that we share that link with you before we leave today in the chat, because we cannot create something new until we can see something new. And we can't see something new. I'm going to share all of these slides. They may be in the portal. I don't know how to use the portal, but they may be in the portal. If not, if you want to drop your email in the chat, Kiki can send them out, especially this graphic, because it's a great tool to use personally, but it's also a great tool to use collectively with your team. And you can tap in with us as well at restfulleadership.com, and we have other offerings that we can help give you that will help you kind of guide your team on this journey. So we have to do the reimagining. We have to rest in order to reimagine. And then we get into the technical pieces, right? Of where are we going? How do we get there? And you made it, now what? And those are the pieces that I know as program managers and as site coordinators, y'all know how to do this part, right? Like y'all know how to put together a plan. But if we don't start by stopping, and if we don't reimagine, your plan is likely going to come from that same place of fatigue and exhaustion, right? And it's going to come from that same place of overwhelm. And so we've noticed firsthand what can happen if we just slow down a little bit and pause and reimagine and then begin to do the planning. And you may notice from talking to me that I talk hella fast. I I'm a high feed rester, right? Like I'm not that meditative person, which is why I gotta slow the fuck down. Sorry, Jeff. I know you're in charge of us, but I'm just gonna keep it real 100 in here. That I'm an overworker. I work really hard and really fast. And so for those of you like me who aren't restful by nature, this shit is for you. Thank you, Jeff. This shit is for you because I talk really fast. I work really fast. I'm really hyphy. I am really passionate about this work that we do. And so it's really important for me to slow down and name, sometimes even daily. This isn't just a journey that I go on with my team once a year. This is a daily practice that I can engage in of where am I this morning? How did I get here? What do I dream of for today? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? And then in the evening, I made it. Now what? So we're going to take a pause. And Danielle, if you're the Zoom host, can you open up some breakout rooms for us? Because I want us to have a little chat about
Sure.
the question. We can stop sharing.
Okay. Stop share, and I will work on breakout rooms. You're fine with this automatically?
Yeah, let's randomly. And how many folks are in here? 45. So
Mhm.
let's do maybe rooms of um 3 people,
Okay.
3 or 4. And I'm going to put in the chat so you can gather this data or gather the questions. Where are you now? And how did you get here? And it might help you to think about sort of your fatigue and your exhaustion. You may be rest rooted already. If one of the workshops we do at Restful Leadership is an assessment of like, where am I literally in my rest? And what state of rest am I in? Am I rest resisted? Am I rest rooted? Am I rest emergent? I'm putting it in the chat, so I'm talking so slow. Am I rest curious? Am I rest resistant? I didn't spell that right. Or am I rest deprived? And so you may want to, we won't have time to go through all of those, all of that workshop today, but you may want to get that assessment from us. And we have your email. And so we'll make sure Kiki shares hers as well. So, where are you now and how did you get here? And where are you in your fatigue? Where are you in your rest? We'll come back at 11:10. So, we're going to spend 10 minutes in our breakout room. We'll come back at, oh no, that's 15 minutes, 11:10.
Do you want 15?
Yes, please.
All right, yeah. And I will also broadcast the prompts.
Perfect. Thank you. And I may float around in your rooms just to be nosy and learn about what you're talking about. Any of you that are virtual, you might be multitasking. And so if you get the little link, click on it. If not, then we can also just kind of have a chat here in this space as well.
Just make sure there's nobody by themselves.
Okay.
Mhm. They're pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay, perfect.
Oh, there are a couple at the end who are by themselves. So I'm gonna move.
Gonna move them over.
Yeah, move
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Move you to 15. There you go.
Perfect. Let me set my timer. Can you make me co-host so I can go jump in
Oh,
some rooms?
oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, I was
Mm,
in a breakout room, but it was just me.
Okay. Let's see. Are you, if you navigate to breakout, well, I can move you. Let me move you. Um, Tanya. Oh, it looks like you were in a room with three people, but it wasn't. So I'm gonna
Maybe they weren't active. Yeah.
move
I'm
you.
gonna go jump in to some other rooms. Um, I'm going into, let me broadcast.
I think maybe do I have to send you a new, or did she go? Oh no, I think I have to send you a new invite, Tanya. Um,
Or if it works, Tanya, Kiki, Danielle, how do you feel about a breakout room here?
sure.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect. Then we don't have to lose you again.
Yeah, and Caitlin, I think maybe just joined and can stay with us.
Sure. Uh-oh, folks are coming. Oh, these folks might have all been in a breakout room alone.
Mm.
Hey, friends. Were you in a room by yourself or
I
did you
got
just join?
I got disconnected. I was not,
Disconnected.
yeah.
Okay. We're gonna just go have our own little breakout room right
Yeah.
here. So anyone who was in a room with someone else, can you raise your hand? If and then we can send you back to that room.
Okay.
Okay, Thelma, where were you?
I think it was 13.
13?
Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Oh, there she goes. So I think I don't see any not joined except for Tanya, Kiki, Stacy, and Bertha.
And then Thelma, is Thelma still here?
It looked like
Yes,
Thelma
I think it was
moved.
13. Was I
Oh,
13?
Room 13. Let's see.
hmm. It
Oh,
shows her.
it says not joined. Okay, how do we put you back in there?
Oh, it looks like all of room 13 was
I
dumped out.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think we're all returning. Some might be returning.
Oh, you were all in room 13. Okay. And you don't see the prompt to join anymore?
No, I think once you return, you're good. So we can wait for the rest of the. No.
There's 0 people in 14, so I'm gonna move all 3 of you to 14 and see if it works. See if it prompts you.
It did. Thank you.
Welcome. Perfect. Maritza, did you get kicked out of your room?
oh,
Were the rest of you in another room? Or is it Maritza? Maritza?
oh yeah, there's another room that where everyone was pushed
You
out.
guys were kicked out too? No.
What is happening?
I'm so
Here,
sorry.
here,
Who
I
who
can.
was you were in room 9. Okay. We all stuck with each other now. So if you're
Okay.
in this space, we gonna do it. We gonna have us a breakout room right here.
Yeah.
Please use your chat I want to hear from you all. Where are you now and how did you get here? Let's name. Let's do some naming. Who wants to go first?
I could go first.
Yeah.
I would say I'm more rest rooted. I don't play when it comes to taking breaks. I don't play when it comes to taking a pause. I'm the person that'll tell other people, like, y'all need to take a break, take a nap. Like, it's lunchtime. You shouldn't be working during lunch. Like, that's me. I don't play about it. So that's definitely where I'm at right now.
Yes. Thank you, Kiki. I do alcoholics or Al-Anon because of some I don't know if you know it. Al-Anon family groups is like a family version of AA for folks that who may have family members or loved ones that are struggling with substance use. And so in AA you get or in Al-Anon you get a sponsor. And so Kiki is a rest sponsor. Like people will connect with her if she's not, if they're not resting, and she'll be like, "Did you eat? Why is
Mhm.
you still here?" So one tip, get you a rest sponsor. Get you someone that can hold you accountable and love on you when times get busy. I'm writing myself a note to to tell the rest of the team that. Anyone else? Where are you now and how did you get here?
Well, I'll just speak out. Our team, we left our breakout room because we were finished, but
Ah.
the funny thing is we all bonded on being rest curious.
Mm,
But we also took accountability that we were the problem. And we have some things that we need to work on as far as setting the foundation, basically, and taking care of ourselves first. Um, you mentioned earlier about pouring from an empty cup. That's not possible. So we do notice that that is something that we need to work on, because we usually take care of the students first, and then it's our staff, and then it's like all these other things, and then it's us. So I think we left that group pretty motivated to take a stand and make a change. So I was excited for that.
well, and this is for anyone in that group. What, why is that so important to you?
I'll speak.
Yeah.
In my opinion is that we are so dedicated in what we do that we put ourselves last. We want to go ahead and make sure we got everything covered. We want to make sure everything goes exactly the way that it's supposed to. We're always troubleshooting, improvising. We wear a lot of hats, but when it comes to us, by the time we're done, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
I got to keep on going to the point that we are really deprived of the energy that we need to continue going. And then it's like, hold on, now I have to stop. So I think time management ends up being a big part of it, making sure that you're going ahead and taking the time to for yourself when you need to go ahead and take that breather. But at the same time, we have to prioritize ourselves. We can't, it's like they say, you can't save anybody else. You have to save yourself to be able to be there for everybody else. Um, thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you. What gets in the way of us doing that, do you think?
I just was gonna pipe in just to say when I was hearing before to a lot of looking at oneself, and what I loved about your graphic, Stacey, is it kind of reminds us that we're also in a system that, and even your example from your own life, we're also in a system that doesn't support it. So just to acknowledge it's not just you not doing it, not wanting to, you're not, you know, having that self, it is the self-sacrificial mindset, but you're also living in a context where people are trying to extract that from you. So there's a little bit of a battle. And then it's how do you reclaim that for yourself? Um, just to throw that out there.
That's a very good point. Can I just add something?
Please.
We recently just switch coordinators, I guess I would say, like our program coordinator. And she has most of us site coordinators off for the day taking this training, this workshop. And I feel like I've been not like I can't think of the word for it right now, but it's from 9 to 4. I work a split shift, so I was still in my mind trying to figure out a way. Well, I can go in at 6:30, and then I can come, and then I can go back at 4 because we close at 6. Systematic damage in my brain, right? So you're right. It's both.
Yeah. It's the yes and, right? Like we made a commitment to lean into the yes and. It's the yes and. And it's sort of like I talked about my own unlearning that I had to do and how deeply rooted was my toxic relationship between work and rest.
Yes.
And overwork works. Overachievement works. Being perfectionistic works. We get accolades, we get workplace awards, we get degrees, we get acknowledgement, we get you go above and beyond, let's give you a promotion or give you more work. And so it works until it doesn't. And so I think when Danielle, what was coming up for me when you shared sort of it's systemic, was that it's systemic in the sense of the organizations and institutions we work for expect this from us, right? Many are extractive, even when we don't want to be. I run an organization, and I know that I too can have expectations from my team that are unrealistic, and I can set the bar by modeling inappropriate workplace behavior and working too much, right? So then folks are like, oh, like Stacey's talking about rest, but I see her doing this. I'm gonna do that too because I want to be like her. Please don't, unless you see me lay down somewhere, right? And also, the narratives that we tell ourselves don't come from nowhere. And so, in our exploration of how did we get here, it can be, where did these lessons come from? Where did this overwork tendencies come from? Sometimes it's societal, sometimes, and again, this multi-level, and sometimes it's familial. Sometimes we've watched our immigrant parents overwork. Sometimes we've watched our mentors overwork. And so, thank you. Yes, Danielle, thank you. Hey, friends, y'all back. Tell me what you talked about. Where are you and how did you get here? I want to hear from at least 2 or 3 of you. And please, the rest of you put it in the chat. Who wants to unmute? Where are you and how did you get here? And the first group that came back shared sort of the similarities that they found among each other. So if you also want to share the similarities that you learned among each other, that would be dope.
I'll share. My name is Astrid. I'm a district program manager for Fairfield, California. So my team and I, we were talking, but what came to my mind is we we are that tape recorder from the day, and between that 2 and 4 in the morning, we are thinking nonstop. Did we say the right thing? Did the child get that Band-Aid? Did the staff get, whatever the case may be? So this is where we do become restless. But at the same time, I think we have such a passion that we just want to make sure we're doing the right thing, even when no one's watching.
Yeah. The tape recorder for the day. And them messages want to come up at 2 in the morning, don't they?
No, sure. That's why I don't like taking those potty breaks, because then I can't go back to sleep. Or that water break.
Astrid, Kiki, can you put the Yoga Nidra link in the chat? Astrid, I'm gonna need you. We host a Yoga Nidra session, and it's perfect for split shift workers because I think it's usually at 12 or 1 p.m. Pacific. And so it's kind of like a lunch break. So it teaches you how to kind of get a nap. And many people, so first of all, physical rest, you should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. There are ways to measure your sleep hygiene and tap in with us, and I'll share more about this later, or I'll share more about that. As well as there are nap culture. Many of us who overwork ain't gonna take no nap because we gonna wake up groggy. And we're gonna wake up feeling worse than we did before we napped, right? And so yoga nidra is a way that can help you access nap without feeling groggy or overexhausted or what have you. You could also do it on your lunch break, but it's a way to physiologically train your body to learn how to unplug. And you can even do it at night. Sometimes if you attend a session, we'll send you a recording and then you can use it to play when your mind is racing in the evening or when you wake up at 2 for that potty break. Who else? Where are you and how did you get there?
I'll share.
Yes, please.
Hello everybody. My name is Ashley. This is Melissa, so I know her name has popped up. But I actually started in social work. So I did get my master's in social work. I moved to San Luis Obispo County to work at a state hospital, and I was there for a couple years, but I think I missed home. I missed LA and missed just being home. So I decided to quit without a job lined up because I was just like at a point in my life where I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I took a risk, and in grad school, I did work in school. So I was a school social worker in grad school. And then I was like, maybe I should go back to working in education again. And so this is where I'm at now. I'm in Aomani City Unified School District as a assistant site coordinator, and it's definitely a different experience because in social work, I'm more of the empathizer. I'm more of a therapist and hearing people out and, being the nice person. And like here, having a leadership role, I'm like a little bit more stern. I like need to make sure that the youth leader take me seriously. And yeah, so it's definitely a different experience, but I think I'm definitely at a curiosity when it comes to rest because I'm just trying to figure out like what does that mean for me right now.
Ashley, thank you. And social work as a field is like the antithesis of rest, right? We learn about self-care, but we don't actually learn about resting as though they're somehow two different things, right? Like go engage in something to take care of yourself, but oftentimes we don't learn how to rest. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're with us. I feel like social work is a fire way to enter into expanded learning because you are bringing with you, right? Like that multifaceted. And then other social workers in here, y'all recognize that like my little MSW ass is like micro, meso, macro. Like we can't think about anything in isolation, right? Like we have to think multi-tiered. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, don't forget to let us know in the chat where you are and how you got there, and especially in terms of your fatigue. And we're going to go to next slide, please. Thank you. And the next slide again. So I talked a little bit about sort of a multi-level approach. And essentially in Restful Leadership, we want to go from micro fatigue to micro rest practices. And this is not rocket science. It's small, intentional, consistent, disciplined approaches to rest that you can incorporate in your daily flow, as well as in your workplace. And so Audre Lorde, who is my fave auntie, who says, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. Right? So it's imperative that if we want to engage in this work, that we have to care for ourselves. It's not a luxury to rest. Trisha Hersey from the NAP ministry, Kiki can put this in the chat as well. If you're unfamiliar, if you're a social media person, we learn greatly from Trisha Hersey, who talks about rest is your divine right. And I would assert that it's your leadership responsibility. Yes, we want to learn to rest and delegate smaller tasks. Absolutely. We also want to move from meso fatigue, sort of collective group level fatigue, to squad care. Dr. Melissa Harris Perry says it wasn't self care that saved her life, it was her squad, it was the collective. Cara Page and Erica Woodland have amazing work in this area around building ecosystems of care that make our survival and organizing possible. I held my first collective nap before I was even a yoga nidra facilitator in my social work class in 2021, where instead of class, we took a nap. And in that experience, it was almost spiritual, right? It wasn't just me talking about rest practices, it was us engaging in those practices together. And also, we want to move from micro fatigue to healing justice. And healing justice is a framework that recognizes the impact of trauma and violence and names them, some of the ways that we did now, and also helps us heal and transform the forces that impact our rest and often impact our rest disproportionately. Many of us come to expanded learning with lived expertise, as I mentioned earlier. Many of us come from communities and families where we were never taught rest. Oh, do we end at 11:15? I'm so sorry. I thought we ended at 11:30. Yes. Please.
There will be workshop too, but it's in a different space. So
Yeah.
I can leave this open a little bit if people want to
If
mingle a little.
I would love to shut down the slides. That was my time management. I completely apologize. And I do not want you to use your break up in here unless you feel like it's restorative or you have any questions for me specifically. Before you go, Kiki's going to throw some links in the chat. The best way to connect with us is at restfulleadership.com or rageproject.com and or on social media, on Instagram, in both of those spaces. Keek, I'm going to help you as well. And then while you're doing that, let me put my contacts in the chat. So if anybody is like, girl, you robbed us of time because you didn't manage your time appropriately, we need more of this, please reach out and let's connect. If you want to connect with any one of our team and you have just generic questions, you can reach us at rageproject.org. And then for women of color, we are hosting a women's retreat in Sonoma County in Napa Valley in March. And so if you are leaders and have some professional development budget, or even don't and are interested in a scholarship from that event, you will find that on our website as well. So let's stay in touch. And I'm glad I got to share this space with you and model my imperfections. Please go take your break unless you have specific questions for me, and then feel free to hang out and we can chat until it's time for your next workshop. We can also ensure that these links are in our slides, which are uploaded, and I think you can add in or that you can access as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for calling me out when I tried to go over time, because I am good for that. And I'm going to pause so you all can jump out unless you want to hang out for a little bit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Stacey.
We appreciate you so much.
This is so great. I've been seeing, like, kind of following you on social media with the
Yeah.
development of your restful leadership. I know you've been in connection with Addie Ellis too.
Yes, Dr. Addie is one of our rest coaches.
Yeah.
And will be co-facilitating the retreat with me. So we'll make sure, Danielle, we'll make sure you get it too. Shoot us an email so we can send that over to you.
Yeah. And these links, we have a recording, and I guess I should pause it now.